That guy Dan Hooker, he had a a little bit of a slap to reality. Maybe you shouldn't take those
It
chances.
was a nasty guillotine that he got Diakese with, because Mark Diakese, or Diakese, I think it's pronounced. He's a fantastic striker. It looks like his grappling needs a little bit of work, but if he tightens up his game a little bit, he could really be a force. My Thai boxing coach in England, Daz Morris, he's worked with him quite a lot, and he has so many good things to say about him. I think what he needs, Diakese, and we're going off on a tangent here, he's very flashy. He's very athletically gifted. He's very explosive, very fast, very flexible. He can do all these amazing kicks, jumping kicks, spinning kicks, all this type of stuff. What he needs is the fundamentals. It's all well and good doing all these flashy stuff, but you need the jab, you need the 1-2. You know what I mean? You need the absolute fundamentals, and then you add that stuff to it. You don't have the flashy stuff, but not the fundamentals. You start with the basics. You start with the footwork drills. You start with the jab, the 1-2, the left hook. You do all that stuff, and then you add the flashy shit. Otherwise, the flashy shit doesn't work. I remember Yair Rodriguez versus, what's he called? The guy with the afro haircut. What's he called?
Bruce Leroy.
Bruce Leroy. Bruce Leroy versus Yair Rodriguez. They fought for 25 minutes, and the pair of them were just jumping around the octagon. It was like, it was like some kind of kung fu expose. Do you know what I mean? It was, I guess it was impressive that they were doing it, but I was like, Jesus Christ, can they stop jumping around like ballerinas and actually get down to the nitty gritty and actually fight? You know what I mean? So you got to have the fundamentals. If you want to add some flashy shit, great, that's good. But unlucky Mark Diakese, he's got a bright future ahead of him, of course. Nasty guillotine from Dan Hooker. What else was?
I with Mark Diakese, though, I'll tell you right. Ever since I saw the movie Snatch, black British people are just terrifying. They really are. Oh, well, before that, it was just never. I remember like seeing like Evander Holyfield when I was a kid, being like, I don't know, dude, that's just not fucking terrifying. His little fucking British accent. And then they exposed me when I saw Snatch. It was my first time that I saw that there was actually poverty in England, and it wasn't all just tea and crumpets. So.
It's definitely not all tea and crumpets, man. Believe you me. You guys, for some reason, seem to think that everybody in England is very, very posh. Whilst there is obviously very many affluent people, there's also the opposite side as well. Scary black people. That sounds like we're getting racist here.
Well, we just figured out the name of this week's episode.
Scary black. Perfect. Jesus Christ.
All right, other quick stories. Carlos Condit gets outclassed by Neil Magny.
That was hard to watch, if I'm honest. The reason I say it was hard to watch is because I've been the biggest fan of Carlos Condit for the longest time. I went to Afghanistan with him in 2008, and he's just a class act. He calls himself the natural born killer. He's an amazing fighter. Pardon me. Excuse me. He's an amazing fighter. I love to watch him. Carlos Condit really impressed me. Back in the day, he fought Rory McDonald. Rory McDonald went out there, beat him for the first 2 rounds. And at the end of the second round, his coach said, listen, Carlos, you're going to lose this fight. If you're going to win this fight, you got to go out there and you got to stop him. And that's exactly what he did. You could see like a switch turned. You could see it in his eyes. The round started. He went out there and he just put a beating on Rory McDonald and got the finish. And I was like, wow, that was incredible. And then to watch him on Saturday night, it's like he's just missing a beat. And I was watching him, and it was just a sad realization for myself as well. Time just catches up with everybody, and you could see it. He certainly looked like he'd aged, he'd slowed down. He just didn't have it. Maybe it was an off night. Maybe he was sick or something, but it wasn't a good performance, unfortunately.
Yeah. It was. He was talking about retirement after his last fight, and
he kind of semi-retired.
Yeah. This was supposed to be his big comeback. It was weird. I don't know. I've never stepped into, any sort of professional athletic endeavor in my life. I can't sit here and criticize somebody, that's going to go and get into the cage, but it did not seem like the same killer type of instinct. He did, in the 3rd round, he picked it up a little bit. He seemed like he was trying to actually go for it because it seemed like he had to.
He did. He just looked like, his problem was the range. You know what I mean? He was too far out, and he was throwing a lot of good stuff, but it was 2 feet away from his opponent. And of course, Neil Magny is very tall, and he has an 80-inch reach, which is very, very hard to deal with. So maybe that was part of the problem. But I can't help but think that a while ago, maybe 2 years ago, Carlos would have smoked Neil Magny. And I don't mean that in any disrespectful way to Neil Magny. He's a great fighter in his own right. But I always had Carlos Condit held at a higher level, at a higher status. I mean, he was the interim champion at one stage. He's put on great fights. Yeah, that's what happens, man. 2018, this is going to be a year that we see a lot of people retire. I mean, I'm going to retire, whatever. Carlos Condit, I'm assuming he's probably going to retire. You got Rashad Evans, Daniel Cormier, Shogun, who else? Nick Diaz.
Alistair Overeem, hopefully. Jesus.
No. What did you say?
Alistair Overeem, I don't think he should even speak again. I feel like I would feel if Alistair Overeem was going to go swim a lap in a pool, I'd be like, dude, you should really think about it again after that knockout.
Be Lawler, Vitor, Arlovsky. Little Nogueira, and you know what I mean. The list goes on and on and on. So I think 2018, at the end of it, the UFC is going to be missing a lot of its household names, if you will. Now, of course, there's always new stars coming through. There's always new people. We got new people like Mike Perry. We're talking about G. Casey. We're talking about all these new people, new blood. But it's going to be a very, very different landscape at the end of this year, I do believe.
Yeah. Oh, look, here's the thing, man. It was a pretty awesome event to cap off the end of the year. I think on paper it wasn't as exciting as some of the other end of the year UFC cards, but it ended up being super exciting.
Event, if I'm honest.
What'd you say?
I say that respectfully. I think mainly because apart from the Dan Hooker fight, I think it was predominantly all decisions.
Yeah, but even those decisions were fairly exciting. I thought just watching Khabib take apart Barboza was super exciting. Then the kind of being there. I also gambled on the Cyborg versus Holly fight. I gambled that.
Did you put money on Holly Holm like you said you were going to?
No. I did a parlay. I bet that Cyborg was going to knock out Holly at any point, and that Khabib was going to win a decision. I did a parlay, and I realized I forgot that I parlayed that she was going to get the knockout. And going into the 5th round, I was just excited. I was like, yeah, dude, got some fucking money, cruising to a victory. And then I remembered she had to knock her out, and it just made me fucking sour.
As I said, new year, new me. That's what people say. But it is going to be a new me this year, Lewis. I've got a lot of big plans, a lot of big things going forward. This will be the year that I officially retire as well. So a lot of changes in the Bisping household. What did you do last night to celebrate?
Dude, I did literally nothing. I was off. My girlfriend just moved into New York from Los Angeles, so it's her first cold, New
officially?
York. Oh, yeah, she moved to New York. Oh, yeah.
Nice. Nice, congrats.
Yeah, so she came in, and what happened was during the holiday week, this is a very New York City thing, right? And this is no matter how well you're doing, no matter how nice of an apartment you move into, because I live in a pretty nice apartment building, you'll never run away, you'll never get away from this in New York. A lot of people leave for the holidays, right? So because a lot of people left for the holiday, they turn their thermostats off in the apartment. So if enough people turn their thermostats off in the apartment building, the pipes freeze. So a lot of our pipes in our building froze. So last night we had no heat basically at all, and it was just free. It's -2 degrees last night.
Listen, I know you think because I live in California, I've never experienced such a thing, but I am English, and pipes freezing over or freezing is something that I've dealt with on many occasions. I remember sitting there with a hairdryer trying to warm up the pipes. Hold on, my German Shepherd's going crazy. Can somebody keep that dog quiet? Using a hairdryer to melt the pipes, which does work, by the way, but it's not the quickest way. Very, very cold I see right now in New York, though. Not here in California, but I do miss the seasons. Last night was obviously New Year's Eve. Very, very mellow. We weren't going to do anything. And then at the last minute, we decided to go out to a restaurant. All 5 of us, the kids included. Managed to get a table last minute, got a table. The woman informed me that it was $150 per person. All of a sudden, we decided to leave the kids at home. And just me and my wife went. And it was nice and quiet. Had a nice meal, had a steak. Made it back here by 12 o'clock. Callum, my eldest, and his girlfriend. They babysat the other two, if you will. And yeah, got back at 12 o'clock, had a nice little glass of champagne. It was lovely.
Yeah, well, I mean, so you didn't get crazy last night?
No, not crazy at all. Just had a nice meal, as I said. Had a few drinks, of course. I mean, nothing crazy, but I'm getting old. I can't take it anymore. I would be lying if I told you that I wasn't a little hungover right now. But, you know, it's New Year's Day. If you can't be hungover on New Year's Day, when can you be?
But why? I mean, a lot of people, I don't understand why people have to wait till New Year's Eve to get drunk or you know, they'll do it on Halloween is a big drinking holiday in New York, or St. Patty's Day is coming up. If you're a drunk, just be a fucking drunk on a Monday night. You were just saying the same point about like making it.
Well, also, I would be lying if I told you that I wasn't drinking a mimosa right now. It's a combination of champagne and orange juice. Oh, yes. Now, of course, if you're drinking a mimosa, you're allowed to do it at 10 o'clock in the morning because it's sophisticated, it's classy.
Well, also,
I said to my wife, she said, Michael, we can't do this. I said, babe, just pretend that you're on an international flight and everything's good. For some reason, if you get on a plane at 10 o'clock in the morning, it's perfectly acceptable to have a glass of champagne. So therefore, in my mind, I am on a plane right now. I'm speaking to you and slowly but surely refilling myself up again.
Yeah. By the end of the show, you're going to be hammered and you're going to be just